The Neanderthals are our ancestors who walked the planet more than 45,000 years ago. They were nature's ultimate survivalists and, honestly, a bit terrifying. These weren't just cave people with messy hair and clubs. They were ridiculously strong and resourceful. But how did they live? Why did they disappear? And what freakish traits set them apart from us? Let's dive into the incredible world of our long-lost cousins in today's video. The name Neanderthal comes from Germany's Neander Valley, where their story began. In 1856, quarry workers unearthed strange bones in the valley's Feldhofer grotto. Little did they know, they'd unearthed the first recognized Neanderthal remains, now dubbed Neanderthal 1. This 45,000-year-old skullcap is the official poster child for the species. Fast forward to 1908, and in France's La Ferracie rock shelter, the archaeologists hit the Neanderthal jackpot. They had found a nearly complete skeleton. This find, known as La Ferracie 1, is the most complete Neanderthal skull ever found. Later in the 1930s, a female Neanderthal skull was found in the Tabun cave, located on the slopes of Mount Carmel. This one was named Tabun 1 and is estimated to be around 130,000 years old. Iraq's Shanidar cave also made headlines, with the discovery of 10 Neanderthal individuals, including Shanidar 3, whose remains are now showcased in the Smithsonian's Hall of Human Origins. But not all discoveries have been smooth sailing. Take Le Moustier 1, a skeleton found in France in 1908, for example. After being dismantled, cast and even bombed during World War II, this poor fossil has seen better days. Today, many of these incredible finds are on display in museums worldwide, from Germany's Neanderthal Museum near Dusseldorf to London's Natural History Museum. Over 300 Neanderthal skeletons have been discovered across Europe, the Middle East and parts of Asia, with some of the most famous sites being in France, Spain and Iraq. Neanderthals lived in a wide range of environments, from the icy tundras of Siberia to the warmer climates of the Mediterranean. Their remains often survived because they were buried in caves, which protected them from scavengers and weathering. However, not all skeletons survived. Some were lost to natural disasters or destroyed during conflicts, such as the 2003 Iraq invasion, which may have damaged some remains. Others were simply overlooked, like the bones stored in a box for decades in Spain before being identified as Neanderthal. That's right. An amateur paleontologist named Miguel Aznar found the remains outside the entrance to a cave at Cova Simanya near Barcelona, Spain, during a clandestine dig in the 1970s. He collected 54 bones representing at least 3 individuals: an adult female, a juvenile aged 11 or 12, and a child around 7 or 8 years old. Aznar initially stored the bones at home before donating them to the Archaeology Museum of Catalonia in 1986, where they remained unnoticed until 2020. Researchers later confirmed their Neanderthal origin through anatomical analysis and linked them to the cave site, using a wisdom tooth found during renewed excavations. Similarities. Now the question arises, how are these people different or similar to modern humans? Neanderthals and modern humans, Homo sapiens, share a remarkable number of similarities, highlighting our close evolutionary relationship. Genetically, our DNA is approximately 99.7% identical to that of Neanderthals, making them practically our siblings in the evolutionary tree. If you're of non-African descent, up to 4% of your DNA comes from Neanderthals, thanks to interbreeding between our species tens of thousands of years ago. That Neanderthal legacy isn't just a fun fact, it influences things like your immune system, skin tone, and even hair texture today. When it comes to brains, Neanderthals and modern humans were on par. Their brain sizes were about the same, and their cognitive abilities weren't far off either. They were expert toolmakers, crafting everything from sharp spears to sophisticated cutting tools. But it wasn't just about survival, they had a creative side too. Archaeological evidence suggests they made symbolic art, decorated themselves with beads and pigments, and likely participated in some kind of ritual practice. So if you're thinking about how they communicated with each other, well, here's your answer. Neanderthals possessed the anatomical structures needed for speech, meaning they could probably talk in complex ways. And considering how they hunted cooperatively, lived in organized groups, and even cared for injured members, it's clear they had some serious social skills, much like us today, not counting the introverts. Their lifestyle looked a lot like early modern humans. They used fire, built shelters, and adapted to harsh Ice Age environments. Built and BMI. Neanderthals exhibited distinct physical characteristics, particularly in terms of height and body mass index. Studies done on analyzing the discovered skeletons suggest insights into their stature and build. Based on measurements from 45 long bones belonging to a maximum of 14 male and 7 female Neanderthals, researchers have estimated that male Neanderthals stood between 5 feet 4.5 inches to 5 feet 6 inches tall, while females measured between 4 feet 11.8 inches to 5 feet 1.4 inches in height. In terms of body mass, analyses of 26 Neanderthal specimens conducted in 2010 determined that males weighed between 78 to 83 kilograms and females between 63 to 66 kilograms. These weight estimates concerning their height suggest that Neanderthals had a higher average BMI compared to modern Homo sapiens. It's important to note that while Neanderthals were shorter on average than post-World War II Europeans by about 12 to 14 centimeters, their height was comparable to that of Europeans from around 20,000 years ago. The robust build of Neanderthals is believed to be an adaptation to the cold environments of Europe during their existence. Their stocky physiques would have aided in heat retention and provided the strength necessary for their physically demanding lifestyle, which included hunting large game and enduring harsh climatic conditions. Skeleton and bone structure. Neanderthals were built like mini-tanks, short, stocky, and ridiculously strong. Their skeletons tell the story of a species designed to handle some of the harshest conditions Earth has ever seen. With a wider ribcage, shorter limbs, and a barrel-shaped chest, they had the perfect physique for conserving heat in the icy climates they called home. Basically, they were the ultimate cold-weather survivors. Their bones were also thicker and denser than ours, making them far more robust. Those thick bones were like natural shock absorbers, protecting them from injuries as they chased down mammoths or wrestled with giant bison. Now let's talk about their hands. They had large, broad hands with strong grip strength. This wasn't for texting or scrolling. It was perfect for gripping spears, crafting tools, and doing all the heavy lifting their daily life required. Their powerful arms and shoulders allowed them to hurl spears with force, making them highly effective hunters. And then there's their legs. Shorter than ours, but packed with muscle, their legs were ideal for quick bursts of power. Diet. Neanderthals weren't just big-boned brutes. They were survival pros with some pretty impressive culinary skills. Their diet usually was meat, and we're talking the big stuff: mammoths, bison, and woolly rhinos. These guys didn't shy away from hunting animals that weighed tons. Using spears and teamwork, they'd ambush prey, often up close and personal. But it wasn't always steak and ribs. Neanderthals also ate plants, nuts, seeds, and even mushrooms. Evidence from their teeth shows traces of wild grains, legumes, and tubers. In fact, they might have been roasting some of these on fires they controlled. It's like the prehistoric version of a nice barbecue. Now, did their adventurous eating habits ever backfire? Well, maybe. There's evidence that they occasionally consume plants with medicinal properties like yarrow and chamomile, possibly to treat illnesses. But as for dying from munching on poisonous stuff, we can't know for sure. Their instincts and knowledge of their environment likely kept them from eating the wrong berries or mushrooms too often. However, food shortages during harsh Ice Age winters could have made things tough. Desperate times might have called for risky choices, but the bigger culprit in their decline probably wasn't diet. It was competition, disease, and changing climates. Superhuman durability. The Neanderthals weren't living in the safe and modern facilities like we do today, and had to endure temperature drops of up to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Had the survival dependent on hunting massive woolly animals for food, and you had to be very strong. So much so that their durability was nothing short of superhuman. Their bones were thicker and more robust than modern humans, with limb bones showing signs of extreme physical stress, similar to those of professional rodeo riders today. About 74% of Neanderthals survived injuries facing violent animal encounters, and this was concluded by looking at the skeletons we have found. The skeletons reveal massive healed fractures, arthritis, and other injuries, proving they survived harsh conditions and dangerous hunts. For example, the La Chapelle-aux-Saints Neanderthal lived with a broken hip, severe arthritis, and multiple injuries, yet still managed to survive for years, likely due to group care. Some of the deep fractures healed without any sign of an infection, and this proves just how resourceful and caring their communities were in times of incapacitation. Their strength wasn't just for show. Neanderthals hunted large game like mammoths and reindeer. using 7-foot-long wooden spears. Studies show that trained athletes today can throw these spears over 80 feet at speeds of 35 miles per hour, suggesting Neanderthals were skilled hunters who could take down prey from a distance. Their bodies were also adapted to the cold. With stocky builds, shorter limbs, and barrel-shaped chests, they conserved heat better than modern humans. Their brains were larger too, averaging 1,500 cubic centimeters, which may have helped them strategize and survive in extreme environments. Even their teeth tell a story of durability. The Neanderthals were used to use their teeth like a third hand. Heavy wear on their front teeth suggests that they used them as tools, to grip and process materials like tearing and chopping, survival in the freezing weather. These people were built to survive extreme cold, with bodies that were like biological survival machines. The solid muscular frames, short limbs, wide trunks, and barrel-shaped chests. Everything about their anatomy minimized heat loss by reducing surface area relative to body volume. This adaptation helped them retain warmth in freezing temperatures as low as -30 degrees Celsius. They also had comparatively larger noses, which also played a key role. The tall, broad nasal passages warmed and moistened the cold, dry air they breathed, protecting their lungs and conserving energy. The bones and high muscle mass generated significant metabolic heat, and it acted as a built-in internal heater for them. While they likely didn't have much body fat for insulation, their muscles and possibly brown adipose tissue, BAT, helped them stay warm. They used fire for warmth, wore animal hides, and took shelter in caves to escape the biting cold. Their high-calorie diet, rich in protein from hunting large game, provided the energy needed to fuel their bodies in such harsh conditions. Lung capacity. Neanderthals had lung capacities that were about 20% larger than modern humans, with males like Kabara II estimated to have a lung volume of 9.04 liters, compared to the average modern male's 7.20 liters. This was due to their wider lower rib cage, which housed a larger diaphragm, allowing them to take deeper breaths and absorb more oxygen with each inhalation. Modern humans, in contrast, rely on both diaphragm movement and ribcage expansion for breathing. This enhanced lung capacity likely supported their high-energy lifestyle, which needed more oxygen to fuel their bodies during activities like hunting mammoths or enduring Ice Age climates. Just like the athletes trained to maximize lung efficiency, the Neanderthals had larger lungs that were perfect for their physically demanding tasks. Looking at the British rower Pete Reed, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, with the largest recorded lung capacity at 11.68 liters, and US swimmer Michael Phelps with a lung capacity of around 12 liters, it surely is a remarkable feat. But as I said, they are trained to have developed the stamina and lung capacity, and Neanderthals were born with it. How convenient. Scientists determined the approximate lung size of the Neanderthals through 3D reconstructions of rib cages, like Kabara II's, using CT scans and comparisons to modern human anatomy. The wider lower thorax and straighter spine suggested a reliance on diaphragmatic breathing, which would have allowed for greater oxygen intake and endurance. They also had amazing durability. For example, many Neanderthal skeletons show stab wounds on the lung. For example, Shanidava III, a Neanderthal, was probably wounded due to a stab to the chest between the 8th and 9th ribs. But even after such a deep wound, that man survived for weeks after the injury before falling in the Shanida cave in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Childhood. Neanderthal childhood was a fascinating mix of toughness and playfulness, but it was definitely shorter and more intense than what modern human kids experience. Neanderthal kids grew up fast, like literally. Studies of their teeth show that they mature quicker than modern humans. For example, an 8-year-old Neanderthal's teeth had growth lines equivalent to a 10 to 12-year-old human's, meaning they hit developmental milestones earlier. Imagine a Neanderthal toddler running around with the energy of a modern 5-year-old. Life wasn't all fun and games, though. Neanderthal kids lived in a harsh Ice Age world where survival skills were learned early. They likely joined their families on hunts, foraging for food, and maybe even helping to track animals. Footprints found in Spain show that kids as young as 6 were part of groups moving across muddy terrain, possibly stalking prey or playing near water. Compared to modern kids, Neanderthal children had less time for childhood. They grew their teeth faster, lost baby teeth earlier, and reached adulthood by their mid-teens. Modern humans, on the other hand, have a long childhood that allows for extended learning and brain development. Research. Ongoing research into Neanderthals is shedding light on their complex history. At Princeton University, geneticists have identified multiple waves of interbreeding between modern humans and Neanderthals, suggesting a more intricate relationship than previously thought. In Germany, the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology has been at the forefront of Neanderthal genomics. Their work includes sequencing high-quality Neanderthal genomes. Also, researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, are refining timelines of Neanderthal and modern human interbreeding, and there's no shortage of work being done to understand our ancestors. So we can conclude that Neanderthals were a perfect storm of physical and behavioral adaptations, making them masters of survival, and more research on their lives is only going to amaze us about their incredible lives. That's it for today. If you liked the video, then press the like button and share it with others. Check out our channel for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time.